Hi guys, it's story time with Grandma. Tonight we're going to read Glamourpuss. Once upon a pillow sat a glamorous cat named Glamourpuss. Glamourpuss lived with Mr. and Mrs. Highhorsen in a giant mansion on top of a hill, where they were waited on hand and foot by a pair of devoted servants named Gustav and Rosalie. The Highhorsens were gazillionaires. Having no children, they focused all their attention on Glamourpuss, showering her with expensive gifts and unbridled affection. She had her own room and her own place at the dinner table. She even had a necklace made of real diamonds. Unlike other cats, Glamourpuss wasn't expected to chase mice or rid the closets of moths. Her one and only job was to be glamorous, and she was very good at it. Glamourpuss didn't go downstairs. She descended. She didn't lie down. She reclined. She didn't stretch. She extended. And because she understood that less is sometimes more, instead of saying meow like an ordinary cat, she shortened it to just me. Glamourpuss enjoyed living in the lap of luxury. She had everything a cat could possibly want. The Highhorsens had only to ring a little silver bell, and Gustav and Rosalie came running. After a delicious snack, Glamourpuss would practice being glamorous. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most glamorous of us all? She wondered. But of course, the answer was obvious. Me. One day, Glamourpuss was fine-tuning some of her favorite expressions. Terribly bored, slightly amused, haughty disdain. When the doorbell rang, Mr. Highhorsen's sister Eugenia had come all the way from Houston, Texas. It appeared she was planning to stay a while, and she had not come along. Bow wow! Glamourpuss took an instant dislike to Bluebell. Her tacky wardrobe and wagging tail were reason enough to shun her, but to make matters worse, Bluebell did tricks. First rate, boomed Mr. Highhorsen. Adorable, squealed Mrs. Highhorsen. Have y'all ever seen anything more precious in your entire life? Drawled Eugenia. Why, couldn't you just eat her up with a spoon? Absolutely, thought Glamourpuss, and she added a new expression to her repertoire. Utter disgust. Later, when no one was looking, Glamourpuss decided to show Bluebell a little trick of her own. She descended and reclined, and then, at just the right moment, extended. Glamourpuss hoped Bluebell would get the message and stop trying to steal her thunder. But the next day, there she was again, parading around the house in another ridiculous outfit. Clap, 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 clap. Then, right when Glamourpuss thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. Have y'all ever seen anything more glamorous in your life? Gushed Eugenia. Glamourpuss couldn't believe her ears. How could anyone think Bluebell was more glamorous than she was? It was preposterous, outrageous, absurd. Yet, deep down inside, Glamourpuss was beginning to worry it might actually be true. Later that day, while everyone else was taking a nap, Glamourpuss borrowed one of Bluebell's outfits. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most glamorous of all? She wondered. This time the answer was less obvious. Me? At dinner, Glamourpuss only picked at her food. Afterward, when everyone retired to the conservatory to watch Bluebell perform a new trick, Glamourpuss slunk upstairs to lick her wounds. The next day, Glamourpuss overslept. By the time she woke up, everyone had gone out. Nobody cares about me anymore, she thought sadly. Her pity party was interrupted by a strange noise coming from the guest room. When Glamourpuss went to investigate, she couldn't believe what she saw. "Bad dog," scolded Eugenia when she discovered what Bluebell had done. At first, Glamourpuss was elated. Bluebell would have a hard time stealing her thunder now that she'd chewed up all her fancy clothes. But later, when she caught Bluebell doing a little practicing of her own, Glamourpuss realized she'd made a terrible mistake. Bluebell had chewed up her clothes because she despised them. Who could blame her? The poor thing had been trapped in a nightmare of hoop skirts and fruit-covered turbans when all she really wanted was to be glamorous like me. Over the next few days, Glamourpuss worked tirelessly with Bluebell, teaching her everything she knew about being glamorous. Bluebell was a quick study. She mastered descending, reclining, and extending in no time flat. True, she sometimes needed to be reminded that tail wagging is undignified. But it was Bluebell herself who came up with the idea of shortening bow wow to a much more glamorous wow. Mr. and Mrs. Highhorse were very proud of the way Glamourpuss had taken Bluebell under her wing. Eugenia wasn't happy about it at first, but eventually she learned to accept Bluebell's true nature. As for Glamourpuss, she learned an important lesson too. When it comes to being glamorous, less is sometimes more. And when it comes to having friends, you can never have too many. And that is the story of Glamourpuss.